Banjo-Tooie was released 17 years ago, and it's a game that, from the beginning, had tons of mysteries surrounding it. The biggest of which was the stop and swap, which unfortunately never happened due to the Nintendo 64's disk drive never really taking off worldwide. But we all already know plenty about the stop and swap mystery that was later resolved by the Xbox Live Arcade games. What we're here to talk about are some of the unused sprites that remain in the game that the majority of you probably still don't know exist. There are two main assets left over in the Banjo-Tooie code that might interest quite a few of you out there. The first of which is an unused Jinjo house. So, as we all know, there's 9 houses that exist in the Jinjo village. However, a 10th Jinjo house actually exists. It's the Grey Jinjo house, the one that's actually destroyed in Jinjo village every time you go visit it. It appears as if the developers originally planned to have the Grey Jinjos be collectible throughout the game. However, before the release, it looks like they scrapped it and decided that Grey Jinjos weren't going to be in it. This is further backed up by a dialogue icon for Grey Jinjos left within the game's code as well. Why'd they cut the Grey Jinjos from the game? I don't know. It doesn't look like it's a space issue, so my guess is they probably cut them due to time constraints and not having enough time to place those Grey Jinjos in the various worlds throughout the game. The second and most interesting thing that is left over in Banjo-Tooie is its Bottle's Revenge mode. When you enable Bottle's Revenge mode, when he dies at the beginning of the game, he actually turns into the devil, or evil Bottles, or whatever you want to call him. And once he turns into Devil Bottles, you can actually have a second player join in, and when Bottles hovers over an enemy, the second player can take control of the enemy and try to kill the player who's playing as Banjo. This mode is actually pretty functional within the game. A second player can join in, and they can control the enemies that Bottles hovers over. However, what is left out is, originally with this mode, if the second player who was controlling the enemies killed the player who was controlling Banjo and Kazooie, then they would then take control of Banjo and Kazooie, and the player who just died as Banjo-Kazooie would take control of the enemies that Bottles hovered over. It was kind of going to be a back and forth competitive mode. It seems like a good idea, but my guess is they had issues with camera movement or other bugs that they couldn't quite figure out. It's worth noting that in this mode, whenever a player goes in to confront a boss, Bottles actually disappears and the second player cannot control the enemy boss. Why they decided to do that is not 100% clear, but the best guess is most of us rely on boss patterns to be able to beat them. If a human player who is unpredictable controlled a boss, he would have a significantly unfair advantage against his Banjo and Kazooie competitor. And that's about it as far as Banjo-Tooie's Left Behind assets go, at least any Left Behind assets that are of any real interest. If you have any questions about this video or any suggestions on what I should cover for the next video, make sure to leave those in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe if you thought this was interesting and you want to see some more retro revivals in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.